We got a flat tire. There's so many different factors that play into fertilizer. I'll stir it up. I said I was not happy with the company. I'm back here in the greenhouses. Just got done watering what I need to for this morning until Mom can get in here. And what I'm going to work on right now is getting our mid-season cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, all the cool crops seeded. And so that's going to take me a little bit. I'll run you through the process of what we're doing there. And then what we actually might try and do, because we have another big rainstorm coming, is head to the field and get our early season cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, kale, kohlrabi, all that kind of stuff in the ground, because it is big and it's time. Because I haven't used my seeding soil in a while, I had to get this saturated again. Not really saturated, just some moisture in there. It was like bone dry. Okay, so I'm gonna start out with Gustus, which is a Brussels sprout variety. Okay, to feed, yes. Print that out, cut it. So there's my tag and the date. And then another Brussels sprout is Capitola, which we like these two a lot. We used to plant a variety called Jade Crossy, but we're doing away with it this year. We just have not liked how they have been producing the past couple of years. So then I'll take my tag, take that cover off the sticky, and because I'm gonna put multiple varieties on this tray, I'm actually gonna put it right here on the side, just like that. And then I'll do that across. So here is my Brussels sprout tray. I got Capitola, Gustus, Franklin, which we like the best, so I'm gonna plant the most of those, and then Dagon, which is a new variety. So I'll take and fill that up. Big chunk. All right, and now we are ready to make my impressions in the soil. So we'll bring it over here. Make sure it's lined up, and then press that down. But try and do it evenly around the entire thing. Sometimes I have to do it twice just so I get it to where I want it. And then once that's good, just like that, I'll put it in my tray holder. I'm obviously not going to show you how to do every single seed that I'm planting, because there's like 4 different varieties of cabbage, 5 different varieties of cauliflower, 3 different broccoli, and then so on and so forth. So I'm just going to show you one variety of the Brussels sprouts, and then I'm going to try and zip through the rest, because kind of in a hurry so we can get that cabbage planted in the field. So the first variety I'm going to be doing is Capitola, and I'm going to do 96 seeds of that. So I'll get this thing turned on. It's a brand new pack, so I got to open it up. I like doing cold crops because they're the fastest, and they usually come up really well. All right, so there, every single hole is filled. I'll dump them back out. I'll then bring it over here, flip it upside down, and then I'll shut off my air, or my suction, tap on it a couple times so they drop out of there, and that's it. And so if you look there, you can see that blue seed in every single cell perfectly. And I'll do the rest for that flat. So after seeding, the last step is to cover it with vermiculite. So I just finished up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 flats altogether. And there's a lot of different varieties there. So now I'm heading over to the blue shed. Dad called and said he can't get the case started. He just put a brand new battery in it. And now he wants to try and bump start it. He's gonna try and push it to the door.
Yeah, and then I think you're better on a wheel. For some reason. I don't want to hurt my arm. Let's keep on going. I can jump up on
All right, you better go up on.
Okay. Nope. I'm afraid we're going to get over the hump now.
Hold on.
If I can get it up the hill there.
Daisy, come.
I don't know what gear to start it in.
I don't know if I need it, but Daisy, get out of the way.
Maybe.
All right, wow.
I don't know.
We got a flat tire. These tires really aren't old at all, but they were used when we bought them. So I'll just pump it up enough to get it in the shed, and then I will actually put a gauge on it. There's a place locally that sells used tires. That's where we got these from, but hauling something that is holding so much weight, like this water tank when it's full with 400 gallons of water, probably isn't the best thing with not so good tires. So we might need to get them replaced. This one might be brand new. I don't know for certain, but I do know that it's not leaking. This one is. So the tank that we're about to use to water all of our plants with as we put them into the ground is pretty gross. You can see that in there. The water has just been sitting, well, it's actually, we drained it for the most part before the winter came. That way nothing froze and cracked, but now, before we use it again, we want to wash it out the best we can. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm gonna try and pressure wash this and then haul it up to the shed. And I think then we'll start filling for the field. So it's draining the best I can. I unhooked it from the tractor, tipped it up as high as I could. Just getting all that green gunk out of there. I think I got it about as good as I can. So the water tank's up here and ready. I can start filling that with the hose whenever Dad said he's ready, because he's not exactly sure if we're gonna get to plant today. We think we will, but you never know if something's gonna go wrong or if it's gonna take longer than we think. So I'm not gonna start filling that yet. So it took Dad a little longer to get the field ready, just because he wasn't only getting our cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli field ready, but he was also getting our vine crop field ready. He was getting a sweet corn field ready. And so we didn't get to that, but hopefully we'll get to that in the near future. One thing I did want to mention, if you haven't been to our website, go check it out, bryansfarm.com. On there, we have a ton of shirts in every different color and size. We got the logo on the front, like you see here and here. And then on the back is the big logo with the tractor in it. And then we not only have t-shirts, but we have hoodies, again, all different sizes and colors. And we even have a couple crew necks. And I apologize because everything is still in their boxes, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Then we have our sodas up there. Sammy's been working really hard to get all this stuff on. And I always say we're trying to get more on as time goes by. We have sarsaparilla, orange cream, blueberry birch, and that's just for the sodas. Then we have apple sauces. We have apple cinnamon, we have regular applesauce, and then there's, I think, a no sugar. And then that's, again, not all. We have jellies. Here is a frog jam, which is very popular. And here is a toad jam. And that means tangerine, orange, and elderberry. And there's way more up on the website than what I'm showing you, but that's just, like I said, a couple things that I have to show you at the moment. I'm just heading down here to the farm. We try not to do, especially this time of the year, any more than we need to on Sundays, but obviously the greenhouses need water, and it's gonna be a sunny, beautiful day, and we can't neglect that. But it's also Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, and we're hoping it's gonna be a busy day out at our farm market, not only in the store, but in the greenhouse. So we're gonna start getting the yellow van loaded, because we don't need the big white truck, and we're gonna haul a bunch of supplies out there. I can't really maneuver without my sunglasses, but I cannot find them for the life of me. So today's gonna be not very fun. Mom has already started with some citronella, some petunias, some celosia, and some New Guinea baskets. Good morning, Dace. I watered in here later yesterday, and I did a pretty good watering. So not much needs, besides a couple of the plants that I didn't actually water at all. One of them being the Gerber daisies. My mom's a little bit concerned about them just because she said they're a little drier than she would like, but they're not even starting to wilt yet, which we don't want them to, but I want to mix up some fertilizer. We're out of our 17-4-17, which is one of our main fertilizers. I would say our top 3 that we use in our greenhouses, just for what we need, is 17-4-17, 18-6-18, and 20-10-20. And I say the top 3, but that's really all we use. 18-6-18 is more for our Calibrachoa. 17-4-17 and 20-10-20 are basically for everything else. 17-4-17 just really keeps stuff more green than making it grow. 20-10-20 makes stuff green and makes it grow. Looks like a bomb went off in here. 17-4-17 right here. At least I don't have to go far. Whenever we spray in our greenhouses, we have to get everything that we don't want obviously covered with chemicals in here, or at least outside. And you may be wondering, right off the top, why spray? Like, nobody really likes to hear that, but you have to spray. I mean, you don't have to, but if you don't spray, your stuff is gonna look uglier than ugly. It's gonna get disease after disease. It's gonna have pests. It's gonna have everything you can imagine. And so there are some home remedies you can do if you wanna go that route, but I don't recommend it, and greenhouse growers physically can't do it or they won't have a profit. And so right here is my dad's new sprayer, which he got, I think, a year or 2 ago, and I had it in my video. It's called a Pulse Fog. It basically fogs the entire greenhouse, leaving him not needing to walk around and spray every plant individually. He can basically, for the most part, I mean, he does have to do a little bit of walking around, but he can just walk through the greenhouse, and what it does is, in the name, fogs everything. And so it just makes the whole greenhouse like a white cloud, and it gets in and around every single plant, and it's doing the best job it possibly can. And then he can get out, and then we just leave the greenhouses closed up for a couple hours. That way, nobody has to be in there breathing that in. He's safe. The plants are getting the best coverage they can. And so obviously we never spray more than we need to, but we do spray. So here is our 17-4-17 made by Jack's water soluble fertilizer, meaning that when we mix it with water, it dissolves. And so we're gonna mix this at 150 parts. Right here's our diagram saying chart displays the amount of dry fertilizers in ounces to each gallon of water. So we wanna do 150 parts per million. Right here is 50, 100, and 200. So we'll just add the 100 and the 150, and the 50, sorry, which is basically 4 and basically 8. So we'll just say 12, that's close enough. And our injector is 1 to 100. So we need 12 ounces. I'll take my tub, or my measure cup, care of that, it's already in ounces, and then I'll put 12 ounces of fertilizer in here. There's so many different factors that play into fertilizer, because not only do you want to use the right fertilizer for whatever you're fertilizing, so that way you don't kill it. Oh, I put too much already. But also, you want to make sure you're giving your plants the right parts per million. Now, when we're doing small seedlings, like in those 512 seed trays, we would never give those plants more than 100 parts per million, because if you did, and that was of like 17-4 or 20-10-20, if you did, you would make them get extremely long and they'd basically have no backbone. Now, once they get bigger, they're transplanted into like a 72 cell 1206. What we would then do is probably bump it up to around 150 parts per million. And we don't almost ever go over that for a flat, because still each plant you're fertilizing is only like this big as far as like the root ball goes. But then when you start moving into 4.5-inch pots and 6.5-inch pots, you can do 150, even up to 200 parts. And then to take it to the next level, if you want to do a hanging basket that's a 10-inch or a 12-inch, you can be giving 300, maybe possibly even 400 parts per million. And so there, like I said, there's just so many parts that play into it, and you really have to know and do a little bit of your homework to know how much you should be giving and at what parts per million and how big your plan is and just everything like that. I'm not saying you're gonna kill it if you do it wrong, but you could screw your plan up for a little bit, making it, like I said, have no backbone, or even turning it like yellow because it's got too much fertilizer, just everything like that. And I can't go into such great depth with anything like that because everybody's plants are different, everybody's pots are different, everybody waters differently. And that's why it's so hard, because when people come up to me at market and say, why is my plant dying? Or, you know, what should I give my plants as far as fertilizers? I can give them a general answer, but I can never say exactly what they need because what they need is different. Now, if you go back and watch my last video, which you should because you're gonna miss a lot, you'll have seen me go on a rant about this water wheel planter. Now, I said I was not happy with the company that worked on it, but regardless of what they did in that scenario, we're still gonna do business with that company. We still like them, and we're gonna move past it. We're just not happy with that whole situation. And like I said, you should go back and watch it if you want to hear that whole story. But as far as the job they did on this, from what I can see, just because I'm looking at it right now, it looks really good. I said how we wanted to get a new water tank put on it. This is, I think, like a 90 or 100 gallon tank. Yeah, this is of 80, and then I think if you fill it all the way up, it's like 90. They took this off and they fabbed it so that way they had a different saddle, which this is the old saddle right there. And they put a 150 gallon tank on. So it's not double, but it's gonna get us a lot further in the rows when we're planting. Now, as far as what they broke, from what Dad told me, this right here is what, and you can see they welded, they never even painted it. When you're transporting this planter with the water wheel, well, you just can't do it. You have to take that water wheel off because the water wheel, which I don't have one here at the moment, is very heavy. And this right here is how you operate that water wheel up and down. The water wheel sits right in between here where my foot is. And it's heavy, but that's how you pick it up and down off the plastic. And then it latches in. But anyway, so this guy who was running it at the time lifted that water wheel up off the ground and hung it here, thinking everything was okay. Well, it's not, because it couldn't physically handle all that weight being transported on a trailer, bouncing up and down, and it ended up snapping this, which then they had to re-weld. So again, now that they re-welded it, it should be fine, it shouldn't have any issues, but it's broke. Another thing that they broke is up here, and that is this valve. And I see tape on it, but I think Dad said that the company gave us a new one. Right here, yeah, this is busted. I'm not sure how they busted it, but they did. And so that has to be fixed. But as far as the saddle goes, as far as the tank goes, the paint job, everything here looks good. And so it is what it is at this point. I think we're gonna be really happy with it as long as what's broken is fixed properly. I got my warm water, and I'm gonna go mix that with the fertilizer. That way it dissolves better. And I know sometimes, actually a lot of the time, I'm kind of doing the same thing over and over again, and I always try my best to make my videos as interesting as what I can for what we're doing here on the farm, but also making it educational. So if you guys wanted to happen to start up a farm or just do it on a small scale in your backyard, you can do that. And so I don't like to keep showing the same things over and over again, but I also have new viewers always come to the channel who have never seen me do this before, even though some of you may see me do this 10 times already. And so I apologize if you have seen me do this a million times and you know how to do it in and out because you've watched me. And so that's why I always try and give a little bit of new information every single time I do something like this, as much as I can. That way, even the people who have seen it a million times are learning something again. So now that my water's in there, I'll stir it up, and we are ready to fertilize. Another reason I go such into depth about the fertilizer is because I don't want you guys to see what I'm fertilizing with and just say, oh, I'm gonna go out and buy it, and then it's not working for you. And like I said before, it doesn't work for you, or it may not work for you, because of your water or other factors like your soil, stuff like that. But if it does work, great. And so all I need to do now is take my, if I can get out of there, suction line, I'll drop it in that bucket, turn on my fertilizer, turn off my bypass, and I am ready to start fertilizing. But first I gotta run it through the hose, that way I'm not missing anything. And what's nice about the fertilizer injector is that it does this very loud clicking, letting you know that it's operating. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but now my water is blue, meaning that I am ready to go.